Welcome to the 902 Podcast, the official podcast of the Lancaster County Sheriff's Office in Lincoln, Nebraska. I'm Captain John Vick, and I want to thank you for listening. This podcast will give you an inside look at LSO with topics and guests to discuss public safety issues impacting Lancaster County. Be sure to subscribe for highlights on news, cases, and the people working for you at LSO. You can also follow us across social media at LSO Nebraska on Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Welcome to the 902 Podcast. We are here in studio today. Sheriff Wagner is here as always. Sheriff, thanks for being here.
Good afternoon.
We've got a few guests with us to talk about a missing person case involving Tyler Goodrich, and that's a name that's certainly circulated in the local media and social media over the last over a month now. It's something that we want to make sure that we're keeping folks' attention on. So to get started, we've got Sergeant Casey Dahlke, Investigator Jeremy Schwarz with us today. Thanks for being here, guys.
Thank you.
You bet. Thanks.
And we've also got Rachel Barth and Amanda Meyer with us, friends of Tyler's. Thank you guys for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having us here.
Why don't we start off, first of all, Jeremy and Casey, if you don't mind, just for maybe this could be somebody listening out there is the first time that they've ever heard of Tyler Goodrich, and we want to be able to provide them with a little bit of a basis of what took place. So what do we know, and maybe walk us through the sequence of events that led us to where we're at today.
So Tyler Goodrich is a local resident here in Lincoln. He's employed at the Nebraska Department of Corrections, and he's married with 2 children. And on November 3rd, 2023, he and his spouse had an argument. And as a result of that argument, he left the residence on foot. And the following morning on November 4th, his spouse reported him missing. Tyler hadn't returned home. And that subsequently led to a search, not only by law enforcement, but friends and family who have taken extensive amounts of time, personal time away, to search nearby fields, roads, and areas to try and help locate Tyler. And so here we are, December 4th, 30 days. Yeah. And we haven't been able to find Tyler.
Yeah. Casey, can you help us just break down kind of the timeline here a little bit? You and your team have obviously done a lot of work shoring this stuff up. So we've got some specific events that you're working off of with times that happened on November 3rd in and around the Lincoln, Nebraska area. So Tyler lived just southwest of Lincoln, just outside the city limits of Lincoln. And walk us through what we know about what took place on November 3rd.
Yeah, so what we know, November 3rd at 7:40 p.m. on November 3rd, Tyler had left his residence through the garage door of his house, which faces west. He is observed on camera at that time, a blink camera, and he is seen running or jogging towards the south of his residence. And that's at that point is the last time Tyler's actually observed.
Okay.
Is on camera.
Yeah.
And then we know about a minute later, 7:41 p.m., Tyler's phone shuts off. Right.
Prior to that, you guys did some work, but fairly normal day, at work and things like that. I know that about 5:35 p.m., he's on surveillance footage leaving Costco. Yeah, like grabbing dinner for the night or something like that.
Yeah, it looked like up until the point of him leaving his residence, it was a pretty normal day for Tyler. Went to work, got off work. His plan for the evening was to eat pizza, watch a movie. He was observed, like you said, on camera, surveillance camera at Costco, carrying a pizza out, and he's known to have arrived back home shortly thereafter.
Okay, and then about 7:35 is the disturbance that you had described, Jeremy, that takes place at the residence there. And how do we know that was the time that started?
There was an actual recording of the argument between Tyler and his spouse. and that was captured on cell phone. And we were able to listen to that phone call, and as a result of that recording. And that recording stopped when a call was made to 911.
Okay.
And so we were able to capture not only the time that recording took place, but then it coincides with the 911 call.
Sure. And we're not going to, get into all of the specifics of what was on that recording, but I know that there's been questions out there on social media and other places of, well, why in the heck would you record an argument? What do we know about that?
Well, domestics they tend to be dynamic, and when people are having problems in their relationship, and I'm not going to speak specific to Tyler and his spouse, but it's been known for people to record conversations, to go back and listen to those conversations and ask themselves, did I hear something correctly, or did I not hear it correctly, or what did I miss, or maybe to even reference later on. So recording conversations in this day and age it's common. It's something that we see. Sure.
So the 911 call is made, and right at about that time is also when we see someone on the home surveillance camera. It's a Blink camera.
Yes.
Leaving the residence. Now, and there's also been some questions about this because it's a grainy video.
Absolutely.
Sometimes in law enforcement, we have to kind of deduce what we do know and make some information or decide on some information based on the evidence that we have. So does that individual leaving the residence match up with the time that this all took place?
Yes.
Okay. And I know we're not going to get into every single detail of the investigation. We'd be here for a much longer episode than what we have time for today. But we have other information that we've pieced together through the investigation that leads us to believe that we're pretty confident that's Tyler.
Absolutely. Early on, when we looked at that video, we had to keep in mind that person on video is what it is, a person on video leaving the residence.
Yeah.
We didn't know who that person was, and we had to keep an open mind. But what we did do is we took that video, and thankfully Amanda came into the sheriff's office along with another friend, and knowing Tyler the longest, they were able to view that video and gave us their opinions. And that video was also shown to family, and as well as a friend who knows Tyler through running, and they also provided their opinion. And so based on all the information that we collected from showing that video to family and friends, we're confident that person on video is Tyler.
Okay. We'll get to Rachel and Amanda here just in a second, but before we do that, I want to just make sure we're up to speed on the timeline. So 7:40, a 911 call is received. 7:41, there's an individual who we believe to be Tyler leaving the residence, and deputies arrive about 7:58. So we're within 15, 20 minutes after that takes place. There's a deputy that's on scene. What was reported to the deputies at that point?
What was reported was a domestic disturbance. Marshall called in reporting that he had gotten into an argument with his husband, and subsequently deputies were dispatched to investigate that.
Okay. And so at the time, Tyler wasn't home.
No.
I know there's also been some questions about this, and is that atypical for a domestic response?
It is. I wouldn't say it's typical, but it's not uncommon that a person involved in the domestic leaves prior to law enforcement's arrival, and then they're either contacted later on that evening or day, or sometimes the next day or during subsequent follow-up, we contact that second person.
And I know it's been reported that at that time there was no evidence of a crime.
No. In terms of violent crime, no, just verbal argument.
Right. Okay. So then 9:35 a.m. the next morning, we're called back to the residence. And at that time, Tyler's reported missing by his husband, Marshall. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. So, and again, just to there's been some speculation on different times and things like that. I want just everybody to understand the timeline. 7:58 p.m. on November 3rd, deputies arrive at the residence for the disturbance. And then it's at 9:35 the next morning. There'd been some confusion on some times. I think it's some media reports, but 9:35 a.m. on November 4th is when he's reported missing.
Yes.
So at that time, and since then, we'll get into searches here in a little bit, but there's a pretty extensive search of the residence in the early morning hours when he's reported missing.
That's correct.
And that's something that we would typically do. I mean, a lot of times missing persons are usually located in somewhat close proximity to their residence.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I can speak to that. When I was on the road, that a lot of times somebody might go blow off some steam or something like that, go for a walk, and just make sure they're not somewhere else on the property itself. So fairly standard response that morning, would you say?
Yes, and even that night, the deputies were actually captured on home surveillance, walking around the residence looking, and then the following day on Saturday, the 4th of November, they're actually out walking around the residence again, doing a secondary search. Yeah.
And really that's kind of the last time that we really have anything solid as far as a lead after Tyler disappeared.
That's correct.
So really no real solid information since that time, and that's what we're hopefully asking for the public's help to try and help build our timeline from.
Yes.
Okay. Well, with that, let's turn to Rachel and Amanda, and why don't you guys just introduce yourself real briefly and kind of maybe your relationship to Tyler Goodrich.
Sure. So I'm Rachel Barth. I'm from Bennett, Nebraska, and I grew up with Tyler. So we've known each other since we were in kindergarten.
Okay.
I'm Amanda Meyer, and I am also from Bennett, Nebraska, and I have known Tyler since second grade.
Way back. And so Tyler was from the Bennett area originally as well then?
Yeah. So Tyler grew up in Bennett. His parents are from Blue Hill, but his dad was a teacher at Bennett Elementary. He was actually our 6th grade teacher, my T-ball coach.
Okay.
So I've known Tyler my whole life. And then when Tyler's dad, Lonnie, got remarried, he actually married another school teacher. And so they stuck around Bennett. So I know his brother and his sisters really well.
So there's a picture that I saw floating around on social media of it looked like a homecoming picture, like elementary. So what's that about?
Yeah, so Tyler and I were like the crown bearers for homecoming. So Palmyra High School is the high school you go to after you leave Bennett. And so we were like the little crown bearers. So we got to crown the king and queen of Palmyra High School that year. And you can see little redheaded Tyler and little blonde me next to each other with our moms.
Perfect. So fast forward to today for people that don't know Tyler. So what's Tyler like? What does Tyler like to do?
So Tyler is always trying to have fun and make the best of everything. I will say that. He loves to go running and participate in any marathon, 5K that's coming up. I know one year I think he did over 20 races. So that was definitely a big hobby of his. He also does enjoy his sweets and his treats. Tyler and I definitely bond very well on that. So we would always send each other pictures of what sweet treat we're eating that weekend, and he will eat a whole entire box of Oreos in one sitting. So that's definitely Tyler, and he's always just out there, with everybody and participating in everything that he can be involved in. We played volleyball at Playmakers together on a team that he knows through corrections.
Okay.
So that's everything. Anything he can do to stay active, Tyler's out there doing it.
Yeah.
And he was really involved with his kids. And so I remember when him and Marshall were going through the adoption process originally, he was over at my house talking about it and just talking about how it would be to be, a gay couple adopting a kid. And I thought it was really cool that they did the foster thing first, and then they even offered it to their son before actually adopting him. Like, how do you feel about this? And so I just thought it was really cool that the process they went through and how they specifically wanted to adopt an older boy in the foster care system because they knew that those kids a lot of times get forgotten about. And I thought that was a really cool, thing that him and Marshall both did, and it spoke to his character. I also remember asking Tyler one time, like, I want to get back into running. And so he made me this like whole schedule. And I actually work at the airport. I'm the director of communications at the Lincoln Airport. And when I got the job, he sent me like a congratulations gift with like popcorn and like all this stuff. And I just like thought that was like so sweet of him to do. That's who Tyler was. He would always text me on my birthday. He never forgot my birthday. And
Tyler didn't forget anything.
Did not forget anything. Ty Goody Goody is what we called him.
Okay.
And so Ty would text me on my birthday, which is May 3rd. And I decided to throw myself a 35th birthday this year. And he showed up with Marshall. And so it was really fun to hang out with him. And Tyler was not a drinker. So he was very proud of his sobriety. And something that I think I like to squash on social media too is, did he fall off the wagon? Did he get into drugs? Anything like that? I mean, I think anything's possible. But I think, what is he, 7.5, 8 years sober? Very, very proud of that. And has helped other people along the way with their sobriety. So it's really hard for me to think that was something that he got back into.
And we had Veterans Day here recently, and Tyler was a veteran too. So he, member of our community. And was it the National Guard that he was involved in?
Yes, in the National Guard.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, he was a veteran and very proud of that as well.
Okay. What did when was maybe the last time that each of you saw Tyler or spoke with Tyler, or what's maybe one of your recent memories of Tyler?
Well, I actually spoke with Tyler every day, so we would talk every day at work. So I talked to him that Friday before he left work, actually. So
okay.
We always shared our weekend plans before leaving work Friday, and he told us what he was doing that weekend, and that was the last time I talked to him, was probably 1:00 that day. Okay.
How about you, Rachel?
Yeah, so we would text on and off, but the last time I actually hung out with him was actually at my birthday party, which was really fun because there was a group of us from Palmyra High School that got together. So it was like a little mini reunion and got to hang out with him. And then, honestly, just like texting back and forth. And I saw his family more than I saw him. His brother, Jordan, his kiddos go to daycare with my kids, and his sisters actually all live really close to me, including his parents. So I see his family every day.
Yeah, and I know we've worked really closely with his family throughout this process. And
yes,
tried to keep people updated because they're certainly concerned, as we all are, which is why we're here. So
absolutely,
I think one of the first things that I saw, this kind of took place on a weekend. And one of the first things that I saw was actually probably a post from you, Rachel. Yeah. With I think it was maybe Sunday of trying to get some people together because your friend had gone missing.
Yeah.
So maybe do you want to walk us through a little bit of those efforts and what have you been up to trying to kind of bring awareness to this issue?
Sure. So Saturday night, I too was enjoying a cocktail when Amanda called me, and she was bawling, telling me that Tyler went missing.
Okay.
And I think initially we were all just in shock. Obviously didn't sleep a lot on Saturday night. Sunday, woke up. I called her. She was like, I'm going to go search and whatnot. And I could tell she was upset. So I was like, okay, tell me where you're going to be at. I'm going to come hang out with you. And so we got together, and the first thing we did was kind of meet over by Good Life Fitness because we knew that was an area that Tyler liked to run. We were already looking at everywhere possible just right away. I luckily do have some NIMS training through the airport, and I was a PIO, am a PIO and PIO in my last few jobs. And so I kind of knew the process of how to get media's attention and get some details. And so first thing I did was just jump on Canva and make a missing persons photo poster. And instantly Amanda and I went to Walgreens, and they were awesome and printed us free posters.
Wow.
The second thing I did is I posted it on my own social media accounts and sent it to every person I know, which I've, have a big following. So I sent it to everybody I know. Amanda knows, tagged everybody, sent it to the family. And then the second thing we did is we started realizing that texts were kind of going around all over the place, and it was really hard to keep communication straight. And I know that's really important in situations like this. Crisis communications 101 is just have one point of contact. And so I kind of took over a little bit as PIO and incident commander and created a Facebook group. And we try to put as much controls under that as possible. So Tyler's family's moderators, as well as Amanda and I and some other of their family.
Okay.
And it quickly grew. And I would say, last I looked, we're about 15,000 people.
Yeah.
And we then decided right away on Sunday that we were going to start a search. And so I would say that entire week we were searching almost every single day.
We'll be right back to today's episode of the 902 podcast. If you have any information about the whereabouts or disappearance of Tyler Goodrich, please contact the Lancaster County Sheriff's Office at area code 402-441-6500. You can also submit tips anonymously to Lincoln Lancaster County CrimeStoppers 402-475-3600. You can also reach out to us via email, lso@lancaster.ne.gov, with information and tips. Now, back to the episode.
Sheriff, I just loop you in here. We have missing persons cases from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you have juvenile runaways. We have missing adults. The vast majority of people are usually found, maybe within a few days. Can you think of many other cases in your tenure that we've had something going this long?
I really can't. We were talking about this at staff meeting. We haven't had a missing persons case that has gone this long in my memory, and I've been here 47 years. So it's really unusual for somebody to go missing and just without a trace.
Yeah.
It's really perplexing.
Yeah. With that, and we'll get into the searches here a little bit, but that kind of takes us back to you, Jeremy and Casey, when you roll into work that following Monday, and we kind of hit the ground running. So what's going through your minds as investigators when you're seeing what's taken place over the weekend? You're seeing some of the momentum that's been built on social media, and maybe walk us just through your initial thoughts of what do you do?
Yeah, I actually became aware of this case on Saturday, November 4th, the afternoon. And so I already started reading reports, and actually November 3rd, that Friday that he went missing, we actually had a major case happen out in the county out by Pawnee Lake. I had that on my mind. I had, kind of thinking through the weekend what we needed to do on Monday for that case. Well, then this case came out, and I immediately started reading reports, as I regularly do as a criminal investigations sergeant.
Mm-hmm.
Try to stay up on things, throughout the weekend. And so I kind of already had a plan. I had stuff written out in my notebook of what we needed to do. Monday morning on my way into work, I had sent out a text message to all the investigators saying we were going to be having a meeting at 8:15 regarding Tyler Goodrich missing persons case. I think that was the first a lot of them had heard of the case.
Yeah.
So we met as a investigations division as a team, kind of started going over case reports. I gave everybody a chance to read through everything, and just kind of immediately went to work. We have, I'm biased, but we have a very good investigations division, and we all put our heads together and figured out what we needed to search, who we needed to interview, and I assigned investigator Schwarz kind of as the lead, if you will, lead investigator. Although all of our investigators were working on it, I assigned Jeremy to kind of take the lead on it.
Mm-hmm. Maybe you can help our listeners frame this a little bit, Jeremy, but the whole reason we're even here, the reason that we're doing podcasts and things like this, is to try and be transparent with the public and let them have a little window into how we do what we do and why we do it.
Right.
Help our listeners understand why we maybe can't share everything. What are the possibilities, or what angles do you have to look at as an investigator that maybe someone that's working with Rachel and Amanda may not be aware of?
Absolutely. Well, prior to the podcast today, we had a chance, Sergeant Dahlke and I, to talk with Rachel and Amanda and discuss this case. And some of the reasons why we don't release everything is at this point in time, we're still trying to figure out what happened with Tyler. And so each possibility, it's like a puzzle. And we're trying to take those pieces of information and figure out which puzzle does it go into. Was Tyler killed intentionally? Did he hurt himself and pass away, or did he seek refuge somewhere else and is leading another life, etc.? And we don't want to release all of our information because we want to keep the rumor mill, the suspicions and the accusations to a minimum. And social media in this day and age can be pretty harsh, and we saw a lot of that early on towards Tyler's spouse, and I think that created some issues early on. Actually, it did. And so we try to keep some information, or a lot of information, close to the vest, and we call it hold back information, just so that way we can try to keep the investigation somewhat contained and it doesn't spiral out of control.
Rachel and Amanda, you know, on the flip side of that, we try to also share enough information because we've got people like you that are out there, literally boots on the ground, trying to do everything that you can to find Tyler too. You know, walk us through kind of how that looks from your perspective. Is that frustrating? Is that helpful? How would you characterize that?
Both. I mean, I can speak from, you know, I've done some media interviews, and luckily with my role at the airport, I'm close with a lot of the media people. So I think I was able to help get attention on this as quickly as possible, because I know time is of the essence. And so trying to get as many people to know Tyler's name, whether it was through billboards or flyers or signs on yards, podcasts. I think we made TikTok videos, any social media platform possible. We made sure we hit. Amanda and friends were door knocking, checking Ring doorbells, putting signs up. I know she was covering small towns, and I was trying to cover not large media, but I was trying to cover national media. But it is frustrating, and to have a social media, you know, public page with 15,000 people, we've been trying really hard to squash rumors or to answer what we know we can answer, but also at the same time let investigators do their due diligence. And everybody's a keyboard warrior, and they want to be a private investigator, including myself. And so, you know, we're trying to look at every angle, and it's incredibly frustrating. I mean, we just want to bring our friend home. If there is a positive to any of this, it's that the Lincoln community is incredibly supportive, and people want to see Tyler come home. And this isn't your everyday missing persons case, and we will make sure that Tyler doesn't just become a statistic. And that's what we vowed to do. I hope that everybody out there has friends like me and Amanda and Tyler's family that want them to be found, because I think some of the things that we're doing, you don't always see. And so you don't see 15,000 people getting together and organizing searches and calling up Nancy Grace or anybody that'll listen and say, please help us find our friend. And we're not going to stop doing that. So we're just praying at this point for a break in the case so we can keep Tyler top of mind so we can find him.
I mean, Amanda, I wish I had friends like that. Hopefully I do. I don't know. Hopefully you guys would come. But I mean, help people understand. I mean, you guys have put hours. I mean, hours upon hours.
Oh yeah, constantly.
What does some of the volunteer searches look like?
Well, they started out massive. I mean, I think at one point we had 85 people out there one day searching. Thankfully, we have 2 people Tyler worked with that are very good at organizing the searches, and they kind of headed those up. Danny and Landon took care of those, and we're organizing all that information and getting it out there on our Facebook page for people to come and do those big searches with us. Aside from that, you know, everybody's been out there on their own, walking trails and posting it up on the Facebook page where they've been. And we had, I don't remember the website, but Parks and Recs had a website that we were using to kind of track every area that we had covered looking for Tyler. So
Parks and Rec was awesome. I know their director, and she got me in touch with a GIS person. And so the next day, my husband and I met with the GIS person, the Parks and Rec director, and a couple of their kind of forest people. And what they did is they made us a grid. And then when we were able to walk that grid, we were able to log in and check off the areas we were we were searching. And then Casey was great and came out and actually kind of walked us through how to do a proper search. And so I think that was important, just in case we did find something. We're not contaminating evidence. We're not touching something we're not supposed to. And also, you have a lot of people that haven't searched in wooded areas. Like
Right.
me and I are farm kids. Like we're used to doing stuff on the farm, but not everybody is. And so we didn't want anybody else getting injured. If you've ever walked Wilderness Park, it's rough out there. I mean, we came home with scratches and thorns and sliding. We were sliding down stuff, and it is dangerous out there. So we just wanted everybody to be safe. And so Casey did a good job walking us through what to do and what not to do. But it was nice having Parks and Rec with us to show us each step of the way how to do it, and then also to just check off the grid. So one, that also showed Casey and Jeremy what places we've looked, and then that freed up their resources to look at other places. Yeah.
What are some of those tips, Casey, as far as if what do you tell people if they want to help by searching?
Yeah, so the big thing in that large group setting that we were in that Rachel was referring to, if you're going to go out in groups, the best way to search is essentially shoulder to shoulder, arms length apart, and then just walking up and then back down, whatever area you're searching. One thing that we want people to know that are searching, if you do find something, don't touch it if you feel it's important, and then let LSO know, 441-6500, 402-441-6500. It's a non-emergency to LSO. Let us know what you found, and then we'll come out and collect the item, or we'll have a deputy call you back or an investigator letting you know if it's something we think that's important or not. Another thing I'd like to that I remind people is that when they do find something, whether they find Tyler or something they think is important to the case, is don't take a photograph of it, don't start sharing it to social media. That just impedes our investigation, or has the chance to impede our investigation in the long run. And I think those are the most important things. I also remind people that not every single thing they find is important to our investigation. Early on, and still to this day, we're getting calls on people that found a shoe or a sweatshirt, and you get there to collect the shoe, and it ends up being a little kid's shoe or a child's shoe. Mm-hmm. Obviously, Tyler's not running around in 3T toddler shoes.
Yeah, and I get it. I mean, people are just really sure if they're searching for anything.
Absolutely.
To try and be helpful, and you on the one hand, you just never know what piece might help get us to the next piece on the puzzle.
Absolutely.
But on the other hand, we talked about this before we went on air too. There are things that are helpful to you as investigators. Observations, specifics. Mm-hmm. Firsthand facts.
Yes.
And and the one thing, Casey, on if you do find something, you and I talked about this previously, but hopefully some way to find that again. So if you drop a pin on Google Maps or whatever,
yes.
but some sort of location, GPS
Absolutely.
coordinate, whatever. But and Rachel alluded to this before. There's some speculation out there, mm-hmm. Rumors. There's been some spin-off Facebook groups, things like that, and maybe people don't understand, but every time we get one of those tips that's not based on firsthand information, that takes up your time, right?
It does. Since November 4th, I was getting tips, or we were getting emails, and I have a folder specifically dedicated to Tyler. And I think I'm 80 plus tips, and even phone calls that come in during the day. Saw Tyler. I think I saw Tyler at 33rd and Cornhusker an hour ago. That's great. We got to follow up on it, but it's an hour belated.
Yeah.
And 33rd and Cornhusker, a lot of traffic. And when they give a description, that description one likely isn't even close to what Tyler looks like.
Sure.
They're just going off the red hair or
mm-hmm.
something similar.
Mm-hmm.
And so that has to be followed up on.
Yeah.
And it's not tangible. It's not something that we can really
see something, say something now.
Right.
Kind of is hopefully what we're looking for.
Action. Absolutely.
Yeah. And something that's actionable I can speak for all of us here when I say that we want nothing more than just to get a phone call, hopefully from Tyler, and just saying, here I am, and and to be able to bring him back home to his friends and family, and we're certainly all hopeful that that is the way that this case is resolved. But the longer this goes on, the more we all worry, and we're really really hopeful that we can get some form of information that can kind of lead us to the next step in this case, so that we can find Tyler and bring him home. Rachel, Amanda, other thoughts, on kind of where we're at right now. And I want to make sure, before I forget, Rachel, what is the Facebook group where people can go for information on this?
Well, the real Facebook group is Let's Find Tyler Goodrich.
Okay.
And that's ran by Amanda and I and some of his family members. And that's where we're posting information that we do get from LSO. And I mean, there's a lot of people on there just praying for Tyler, things
Sure.
like that. But any speculation, anything of, maybe this happened, any speculation, we just delete it if we can.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're just praying for a break in the case, praying to bring our friend home. And if for some reason anybody out there knows anything, we're just begging you to please come forward.
Yes. Amanda?
On top of that, I just wanted to thank LSO for what they are doing for us. And they have been very good at being responsive and available for the friends and family, like Rachel and I and his family, and just giving us updates and being there. Like, we will reach out to them and they will give us answers and provide us what they can provide us. So I definitely thank them for all their hard work that they've been putting into this.
Well, and we certainly try. I know Casey, you and your team have put in just a ton of work into this case, and will continue to until Tyler's found, and hopefully we have a positive resolution to this case. But Jeremy, like you mentioned, there is a chance. There's a chance that we're not calling this a true crime episode, right? Because we don't know if a crime occurred.
No, we don't.
But in the chance that something did happen, we need to make sure that we're able to hold whomever accountable for that. And so again,
Yes.
that kind of goes back to why we have to be careful. We have to be selective about what we can share, but we certainly want to share everything that we can with groups of people that share that common goal of finding Tyler. So any other closing thoughts, Sheriff?
We have put every resource that we have available to us. We've had help from the Nebraska State Patrol with their helicopter, and the FBI has reviewed the case and given us some helpful hints on some of the things we can look for. We have a state-of-the-art electronic evidence unit that can try to, track cell phones and all those things that people think of. And, I think every one of us here at the Sheriff's Office has gotten calls from friends, relatives, and, just exactly what Jeremy was saying. Hey, I was talking to a guy who heard from somebody else that, this or that, and said, okay, let's put that in perspective. We really want those first-hand bits of knowledge that people might have, and not third-hand that we can't verify, that kind of thing. And the verification for us is so critically important in able to continue this search and depending upon how it plays out, make a case. So we need people's help. Somebody knows something, and we will continue to put whatever resources we have available. There are bodies of water in the area around where Tyler lives, and we have a marine unit, and we've had our boat out with side-looking sonar to see if that's a possibility. And to date, it hasn't been successful, but we have at least checked. We've done those things to eliminate places where he might be.
The places that people can report information to us, obviously directly to the Sheriff's Office, 402-441-6500. We'd also refer people to our CrimeStoppers if they want to report tips anonymously. That's 402-475-3600. And again, any information with credible information, hopefully from a firsthand source, is really what's going to be most helpful to our criminal investigators at this stage of the case. So, Rachel, Amanda, any other closing thoughts while you guys are here?
Just keep praying, keep Tyler top of mind. He's now he's always been a household name in my house, but I've had so many people say, oh my God, we pray for Tyler every night. And we just ask people to continue to do that, because when we stop doing that, that's when we're in trouble.
Yeah.
We can't lose hope.
Nope.
Yep. We'll take all the prayers we can get.
Well said. Well, that is all the time that we have for today's episode. Again, any tips or information on Tyler, please call the Lancaster County Sheriff's Office, 402-441-6500, or Crime Stoppers. You can report tips anonymously, 402-475-3600. Any information in this case that would be helpful to investigators is certainly welcome.
If you want a challenging career, a career where you can make a difference in your life, your family's life, and the lives of those in your community, come and join the Lancaster County Sheriff's Office. To learn more or to apply, visit us online at www.joinlso.com.
That is all the time that we have for today's episode of the 902 podcast. Again, if you have any information regarding the whereabouts or disappearance of Tyler Goodrich, please contact the Lancaster County Sheriff's Office, area code 402-441-6500, or Lincoln Lancaster County Crime Stoppers, 402-475-3600, with any information or tips. We sincerely need the public's help to locate Tyler and bring him home safely to his friends and family. If you have any other questions about the Lancaster County Sheriff's Office, future episodes, past episodes, drop us an email, lso@lancaster.ne.gov. You can also follow us on social media at LSO Nebraska. We're on Facebook, X, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Also, if you're interested in careers at the Lancaster County Sheriff's Office, check us out at www.joinlso.com, where you'll find all of the information about career opportunities for both sworn and civilian positions at the Lancaster County Sheriff's Office. Thanks again for listening. We'll see you next time.